Kal Kadosh, Bekiim Bahalacha, day 32, page 94. This is Halacha Kavav, okay, number 26. Some poskim ruled that it is permissible to interrupt after reciting the blessings of a Torah study, make conversation before beginning the Torah study. Even so, obviously, it's best to avoid such an interruption. The common custom is to say Birkat Kohanim immediately afterwards, and it's permissible to say these blessings even before dawn. So even before Alot HaShachar, you're allowed to say these Birkat Hatorah. Okay, so let's see the footnotes again. So first of all, we have the concept of making an interruption or not, and then also when is the earliest that you could say it, obviously, in Birkat Kohanim. So 88, okay? 88 says, the Talmud Yerushalmi states that one must recite the words of Torah immediately after the blessings. So according to Rabbi Yitzchak, Rabbi Yonah, and the Mordechai, this refers to someone who wishes to rely on the blessings of Avat Olam to fulfill his obligation. But if he actually says the Birkat Hatorah, it's permissible to interrupt between the Birachot, right, and the first words of the Torah. So huge chidush. Again, one more time. Yerushalmi Mefurash says you're not allowed to make hafsek. But Rabbi Yitzchak, the Rabbi Yonah, and the Mordechai say that's only by Avat Olam. Avat Olam you have to have immediately right afterwards the Torah. Okay, but if it's going to be, how do you call this? The Birkat Torah, the normal Birkat Torah, you're allowed to make hafsek. According to the Rambam, however, even when reciting the regular Birkat Torah, you have to start learning immediately. The Rambam's reasoning is that the blessing for the Birkat Torah is no different than any other blessing for a mitzvah. You do a mitzvah until tilat lulav. Now you're going to start doing whatever you want, and then 5 minutes later you're going to take the lulav. Hefsek, right? Pasek. So the Bet Yosef asks why, according to the first opinion, this blessing is different from all the blessings recited over physical pleasures, right? Meaning, one second, according to the Shita of the Rabbi Yonah, the Rabbi Yitzchak, the Mordechai, I don't understand. I'm going to make a shakol. I have to drink immediately. Well, you're going to drink 5 minutes later. Yeah. I remember once somebody came, and then he drinks. It's hafsek. You understand? So you offer two resolutions. Okay? So he says, okay, this is beyond our scope. Okay, fine. The Mishnah Berurah comes and says the third one, mitzvot Torah studies is coming up day and night, and therefore never leaves us. Okay, fine. Next, 89. Okay? Why is the custom to recite these verses in particular? Right? Why Davka Birkat Kohanim? So the Bet Yosef explained that in the era of the Bet HaMikdash, the members of the Nishman in each community recited these verses daily. And therefore, we recite them in memory of that practice. Meaning, just like the Mishmar used to come and say Birkat Kohanim all the time, so too we come and we say this. Okay, this is the reason why we're doing the Birkat Kohanim immediately afterwards. The Lechem Chamudot comes and he suggests that these psukim were chosen since they're a blessing for the Jewish people. And the Ruach Chaim and the Elmaleh said in the Midrash, teaching that the Kohanim gained privilege of blessing the people, right, because the eagerness to receive the Torah from Sinai. And so these are the ones which have to do a Torah study, right? Meaning that just like the Kohanim wanted to learn the Torah on Har Sinai, so therefore they have this. The Elmaleh added that the verses of Birkat Kohanim consist of 60 letters, corresponding to the 60 Mishnayot, the 60 Masechtot of the Mishnah. The response Eretz Tzvi Fromer offered a practical halachic reason for the choice of these psukim also. Normally, it's forbidden to recite psukim by heart, so one must read them from a written text. An exception is made for the verses which are commonly recited with people which are usually fluent in. And therefore, Birkat Kohanim, since everybody's fluent in it, so therefore you're allowed to actually do this by heart. And that's the reason why they purposely chose Birkat Kohanim.
That's what when you have plural Kohanim.
Number 90. Now we're going to talk about, can you do it before dawn or not? That's the question. Okay? So he comes and he says like this. He says, the Mishnah Berurah cited poskim who ruled that it is forbidden to say Birkat Kohanim while it's still nighttime. Since the Kohanim's mitzvah of doing Birkat Kohanim is only during the daytime, right? And it cannot be done at nighttime. Mishnah Berurah refuted the argument, explaining that these psukim are for the sake of Torah study and not in order to fulfill mitzvah Birkat Kohanim, and therefore you're allowed to do it at nighttime, so there's no problem. The Shalom added that according to some poskim, the mitzvah of blessing the people may be performed at night as well. Meaning there are some poskim that you could do it at night, so therefore you don't have this problem. Okay, halacha number 27. If someone spoke after reciting the berachot over the mitzvah of the Torah study before reciting, meaning the previous halacha, there was a machloket between the Rishonim, right? What do? Do we, right? The previous halacha is a machloket. Do we say that you're allowed lechatchila to come and speak? or not. Obviously, we come and we say that you're allowed to. There's no problem whatsoever, right? What does that mean? You're not allowed to because that was the Rambam, right? However, though, what happens if you did speak? Okay, so it says over here, if someone did speak, so he says he may not repeat the brachot, following the cardinal principle, right? It is recommended, though, to have in mind while saying the brachot of Avat Olam, and it should be counted also as Birkat Hatorah in case he's obligated to repeat them, and then to say the words of Torah immediately after the Amidah, just like we learned last time. Okay, so it's just like last time we learned that when you're doing Avat Olam, you have an obligation to do, you have obligations of doing Psukim immediately afterwards, and then we spoke about Ashrei, Uvaletzion, the Ketorah, that in itself is already considered some of the Pesukim. Here you would have the same thing, but since you spoke, so according to some opinions with the Rambam, whatever it is, it would come out that maybe now that's it, you weren't to say Chovah. Because since you spoke, you made a bracha, you didn't learn. So you didn't learn, it's like Birkat Hatorah, it's like other things. So therefore it's going to become a problem. So therefore, right, you should have in mind the Avat Olam and then learn Torah immediately afterwards. Says number 91, the footnote, that Rishonim had a machloket where the one may interrupt between the blessings and reciting the words of the Torah. Those are what we just said in the previous footnote. Okay? The Shulchan Aruch ruled it is best to refrain from interrupting. Why? Because he wanted to be machmir like the Rambam, which implies that technically the halacha does not forbid it, right? Following the opinion of the Tosafot, because remember it was the Ri, right? So the Mishnah Berurah wrote that the majority of Achronim disagreed with this ruling, and according to them, he must recite the blessings again. Meaning the majority of opinions they go like the Rambam. That really bemet? No. You're not allowed to make an interruption after the Birkat Hatorah, right? And that's not only by Avat Olam, even by the regular Birkat Hatorah. So this applies even if the person kept in mind while speaking that he intends to learn Torah afterwards. The interruption is fatal, right? Since the blessing has been set adrift by the interruption, meaning it became Vatalah, and the blessing must be repeated. Still, the Mishnah Berurah recommended if it does happen, the person should have the intention of making Avat Olam to cover the obligation and then say words of Torah afterwards. The Kaf HaChaim Sofer also ruled that we must follow the principle of Savei Berachot Lakel, since the poskim disputed this halacha, and especially the Shulchan Aruch also technically ruled leniently, which is very interesting, that if Maran is not going like the Rambam, he's just saying Tov Lachmir like the Rambam, but he was going like the Tosafot and the others, that means technically speaking, he says Tov Lachmir. It's best to refrain, right? You know, that's Tov, not Limana. But technically speaking, it sounds like he's going like the Tosafot, and therefore, if a person does make this hefsek, technically, it's not the end of the world. But again, since there's a lot of opinions, so just do Avat Olam and then you get out of the problems. Okay, so that was also based upon the Mishnah Berurah. Okay, Halakha 28. Okay, after a daytime nap. Okay, so before we spoke about before dawn, then we spoke about if a person did make a hefsek. Now what about if a person takes a siesta? Right, that's the way it's called. A siesta. He takes a
siesta is not a keva.
No, it's a nap. Siesta is a nap.
But not keva like a night.
Doesn't matter. A daytime nap. Daytime nap. We're not talking about a 2-minute nap. We're talking about a daytime nap. According to some poskim, if someone takes a nap in bed during the daytime, he must repeat the Birkat Hatorah when he wakes up. Other poskim rule that a daytime nap is never considered an interruption regarding this bracha, and it is unnecessary to repeat it. In light of this dispute, it is best to repeat the blessings without Hashem's names, but to express them in one's thoughts. So that's a chidush that he's saying here. That he's basically saying, listen, there's a machloket. So technically speaking, to say that you have to do it, because remember, we don't pass on the Birkat Hatorah as doraita, right? We don't pass on that. There is shitas, there are shitot that hold as doraita, but we don't hold as doraita. So therefore, right, if right now a person has a doubt, you don't do it. But he says, so if you want, just do it without Hashem Malchut. Do it without the name of Hashem, right? Do it without the name of Hashem, and that's it. You make the Birkat Hatorah. Let's see number 92. Shulchan Aruch testified that the custom follows the opinion that is not considered an interruption, but the Mishnah Berurah cited several Achronim, right, ruling that it is an interruption. And the Mishnah Berurah concluded that anyone who follows their opinion, right, and recites the blessings again cannot be faulted. Meaning, according to the Mishnah Berurah, even if you did do the bracha again, mamash the bracha, we can't really tell you anything because there are shittot that you have to do it. Right? But again, obviously the Maran says no. So obviously for us it's safei berachot lakel, but you could just do it without Shem Malchut. Interesting, he doesn't actually quote this, but this is actually coming from the Ben Ish Chai and the Kaf HaChaim. Remember, the Ben Ish Chai and Kaf HaChaim are very, very big in those things. That whenever there are doubts, just always do it again and just Shem Malchut, that's it. You just do it in your mind. Right? Not head. Okay? Fine. Halakha number 29. Okay? The blessings of Torah study in the morning cover all one's studies throughout the entire day and throughout the night, unless one goes to sleep at night in bed. And as long as someone has not slept at night, you don't have to repeat it, which means it doesn't matter what time he goes to sleep at night, right? That's the bracha. The bracha is actually for the entire day. So this is actually very, very interesting, because if you remember when we were speaking about the 100 brachot, right? There was whole machlokot. When does it start exactly? Does it start from the night until the next night? Does it start from the morning until the entire day until the night time? Does it, there are many, many different shitot over there. But here, well, sometimes it does, because, for example, sometimes you have, whether it's going to be, Yom Tov, Shabbat, many times you do have nafkaminas, you understand? So obviously there's going to be differences, you understand? But, so here he's just saying, though, that for sure, to do with Birkat Hatorah, you make the bracha in the morning, and it actually goes the entire time until the next time you basically go to sleep. So even if it's going to be 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, you're still in the Birkat Hatorah of that morning. Now he comes and he says, but if you slept at night in bed, that's it. Meaning the second that you go to sleep in bed, right, there's nothing what to do. So let's see what it says over here. The Mishnah Berurah added, sorry, I forgot the previous footnote. The Ben Ish Chai overruled that we must follow the principle of and not repeat the brachot, but rather you should do it in your mind. That was what I told you, the Ben Ish Chai and the Kaf HaChaim. That when anyone recites the blessings in the morning, you should specifically have in mind the blessing cover all the Torah study throughout the day and the evening until he goes to sleep for the night. So this is very important. Meaning this Kaf HaChaim is telling you that when you make the brachot in the morning, have in mind already that the Birkat Hatorah is going to be from now until the nighttime, right? Until the nighttime. It doesn't matter what goes on, right? So even if he specifically thinks about it, it's much more likely that the bracha does cover, even though he comes and he's going to sleep or whatever it is. There's no problem. Okay. Number 93 was basically just saying that Mishnah Berurah adds that this is true even if he did not learn Torah at all during the day. Meaning, imagine a person comes and he does right now Birkat Torah, but he doesn't learn Torah until nighttime. It's still good.
Still good.
It's still good.
It's not.
It's still good. No problem. Okay. Number 94 says, okay, as long as someone has not slept at, okay, if he doesn't say, so he says, okay, when he begins the Torah session at night, says someone decided to stay up and learn Torah through the night. At midnight, he paused to recite the morning blessings, right? And by mistake, meaning he did Birkat Shachar, and by mistake, he continued and recited also Birkat Torah as well. The Kaf HaChaim Sofer discussed this case and ruled that the person is guilty of saying a bracha v'talah, and now he has to say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Remember that once you say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed, that's like a tikkun for the bracha v'talah. The reason why is because you're making it now like a shevach, meaning that when you make a bracha, it's a bracha. The second after you make a bracha, you say Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. So now you're changing that. Even the bracha was considered a praise of Hashem. It's not considered a bracha, and that's how ki'ilu you're trying to save it up. Right, that's the concept behind it. So the Rishon LeZion, he comes and he demonstrated that Shlomo Kluger, this is the Chochmat Shlomo, actually no, this is in his Sefer Halef Lecha Shlomo, concurred with this ruling, but the Tzion Lenefesh Chaya suggested that it might be possible to recite the blessings even before dawn, having in mind that the blessings should cover the following day. So meaning he's saying, one second, Birkot HaShachar, right, he's going to do it after Chatzot. So after the Chatzot, he went and he started Birkot HaShachar for the next day. What about Birkat Torah? So we said it's true that if a person wakes up early, he could do Birkat Torah before dawn. That's what we said over here, because even though you cannot do the Birkat Kohanim and things like that before dawn, right? He says, first of all, Rabbi said the Rashi told that you could do Birkat Kohanim in the middle of the night. And number two, also the Birkat Kohanim was not mitzvah the Kohanim that they're blessing the Am. It was just stam that you're doing Torah. But you could make the Beracha Birkat Torah even before dawn. Now here though, right? What happens now is you're in the middle of the night. So he comes and he says that it might be possible to recite the blessings even before dawn, having in mind that it's going to be for the next day. Acknowledging that this mistake can easily occur since people are used to saying all the brachot together, right? The Mikabtziel comes and he says that people refrain from reciting the morning blessings at midnight and wait until dawn to recite all of them together, right? And see the above footnote in Siman 4, Halacha 60. So obviously, that's where we would have to see it, but it's something actually incredible, which means that according to what the Halacha Berurah is actually saying, right? The Mikabtziel, no, not the Halacha Berurah, this is the Mikabtziel. So the Ben Ish Chai is saying this. He's saying that in order not to make this mistake, don't do Birkot HaShachar now and then Birkot Torah later. Because a person is automatic, meaning he does Birkot HaShachar and he continues Birkot Torah. And now it could become a problem. Because now he's doing it by Chatzot, and technically speaking, he could do it before dawn, but don't do it by Chatzot. So therefore he comes and he says, okay, so wait and do all Birkot HaShachar and Birkat Torah by Amud HaShachar. Okay? Next, this is going to be number 30. Halakha number 30. Last halakha. If someone goes to bed in the evening and then wakes up during the night and he wants to study Torah, he first has to say Birkat Hatorah before he begins. This is the rule whether he woke up before midnight or after midnight, since any nighttime nap in bed is considered an interruption, even if the person did not change out of his daytime clothing. Meaning, it doesn't matter about the pajama or not. It's the etzim that he went and he lied down in a bed. Okay? So he says, even if someone napped in bed at night only for a few minutes, it is the same as sleeping through the entire night. Because basically, once you make yourself kavua in bed, that's it. Right? And that's going to be obviously the difference between day and nighttime. Because in nighttime, the second that you lie down in the bed, right, that's it. You slept, you slept. During the daytime, it's not really considered sleeping unless you're the half an hour, shitin nishin, all the nafkamino. And that's also, by the way, the explanation in when we say by Yaakov Avinu, it says that the first time that he laid down to sleep, right, was when he went and was by the ladder in the dream. And it says, why? Because the entire 14 years, he didn't lay down to sleep. What does that mean? It doesn't mean that he didn't sleep, right? It's impossible not to sleep for 14 years. The kavanah is he didn't lie down in a bed to sleep. He didn't lie down to sleep. He would sleep on the stender, he would sleep on the this, on the that, you know, that yes, but not that he was coming to fixed. Fixed, he didn't sleep. Okay? Fine. Then he says over here, and he must recite the blessings for Torah study as soon as he rises from the bed, even though it was only for a few minutes. Doesn't matter. Okay? In case this person has not yet recited the Arvit prayer, he can do so now and have in mind the blessing of Avat Olam to cover the obligation of the Torah study. Again, because we're talking about before Chatzot. Right? So he says, actually, even if he didn't specifically have this in mind, the blessing of Avat Olam can automatically serve this purpose. See above in Halachot 21 and 24. If he has already recited the Arvit prayer and he has no option but to say the Birkat Hatorah, right? Again, if he chooses to study Torah, so then this is the halacha. Even if the person napped and got up before midnight, he would have to do again Birkat Hatorah, because the second that he went and he fell asleep, that's it. Okay, let's see the footnotes. 95. The response of Shoelu Meishi. He defined going to sleep as undressing for one's daytime clothing, going to bed. If someone remains dressed, his nap is considered informal, cat nap, right? That would not necessitate him to recite the blessings. The Rishon LeZion refuted this ruling, demonstrating from the Rosh and the Tur to find a cat nap as dozing off while seated in a chair or leaning on one's arms. Apparently, going to sleep is defined by the person's position. And if he lies down in a bed to sleep, even though he's still dressed, the halacha considers him going to sleep. He cited support the decision from the response of Be'er Hamayim. Maran and Shalom Zion added that even a short nap in his bed is considered going to sleep. The Letzion ruled that nap shorter than half an hour is not considered going to sleep. Okay, so it's a machlok of Rabbi Zion. Meaning, going to Rabbi Zion wants to say, listen, you always need half an hour. Shitin, if it's less than half an hour, it's nothing. Yeah? You could actually probably bring up a raya from the Gaon. Do you know that the Gaon of Vilna, he only used to sleep 2 hours a day, but always in half an hour intervals, because he never wanted to taste the Tamita. So he always used to sleep 2 hours a day, but half an hour. After another few hours, another half an hour. After another half an hour, but always less than half an hour. So technically speaking, why was that? Because if you're going to lie down in bed at night, according to Rav Ovadia, the second that you lie down in bed, that's already sleeping. You slept for 20 minutes, doesn't matter. According to Rabbi Zion, saying no, half an hour is the minimum of what's called a sleep. If it's not half an hour, it's not considered that you slept. Okay, fine. Now he comes and he says, the Or Letzion added that if someone slept half an hour in a bed, but part of the time was during the day, that means basically he went to sleep a little bit during the day and then went into nighttime. But part of it was during the day. So he says he still has to say the Birkat Hatorah when he wakes up. We consider such a nap as sleeping at nighttime. According to the Maran and Shalom Zion, any nap in bed during the night wouldn't necessitate. So it doesn't matter how long or short. Meaning, the Chidush of the Rabbi Zion was, according to Rabbi Ovadia, even if you went to sleep 5 minutes at nighttime, nighttime is nighttime, you're in bed, Gamarno, there's nothing to talk about. But according to Rabbi Zion, you need half an hour. Rabbi Zion is just saying, but if you had, let's say, 10 minutes, right, or for whatever it is, 15 minutes, and then you have afterwards, it's still going to be mitzaref. That's what we're saying, that it's still considered sleeping at nighttime. Okay? Okay, number 96 was that if he did not say Arvit yet. So this is the ruling of Rabbi Shalom Zion, right, citing the Sefer Yakel Shlomo. The Halacha Brura concord with this as well, and this ruling is contradicted by the summary appendix found at the end of the response of Rabbi Omer, which states that if someone naps in the evening and wishes to recite Arvit prayer, he must first recite the Birkat Hatorah, right? So this is obviously incorrect. Okay? Meaning that if it says first say Birkat Hatorah, then do Arvit, obviously it's incorrect. And in the Halacha Brura, the instructions in such a case are that the person must recite some words of Torah immediately after completing the Amidah in order to validate the blessings of Avat Olam as a blessing over Torah study. So the same thing, it's just like in the morning when you do Avat Olam, you have to do immediately afterwards Torah, right? Psukim or whatever it is. Same thing at nighttime. You just did Avat Olam of Arvit, so you have to have Divrei Torah immediately after Amidah. The fact that you recited the Shema during the Arvit is not sufficient. Well, it is explained in Halacha 25. Was there you're doing it as Kabbalat Malchut Shemaim and not as just Stam reading Psukim. Since the text of the Arvit prayer is called for the person to recite the Psalms of Shila Ma'alot immediately after the Amidah, it should not be necessary to recite any other Torah words because this is saying like a daily Psalm at the end of Shachrit, as explained above, and based on the ruling of the Yechavedat, and therefore it should be okay. So according to that, there shouldn't be a problem then. Okay, because you're going to do Shila Ma'alot, and then with the Shila Ma'alot, you already finished. So this week, conclude day 32.